YouTube! So it's the end of another month, which means that today's video is a Book of the Month video, and this month I have been reading The Evolution by Tom and Giovanna Fletcher. If you're new here, hello, my name is Tori Cyclic. I make new videos every Sunday for Cyclic Sunday with other videos throughout the week. If you like what you see, like this video down below and subscribe while you're down there as well. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at tss6295. Now, let's get into the video. For this month's book, The Evolution, I read it as an ebook. I haven't read an ebook since college when I had an online class where I had to have an online book and I really hated it. But since I wasn't able to get a physical copy of The Evolution before coronavirus started, because also the book came out in the middle of April of this month, I decided I would read it on my phone and on my computer because why not? It's a brand new book and I really liked The Eve of Man. That was the first book of this trilogy. This is the second book of this trilogy. So I was really excited to read it when I heard that it came out and bought it on Amazon. I was also really excited to read this book because I haven't read a series in a very long time and I really loved Eve of Man, the first book, which I did a review of on my channel, so I will link that down below as well. But yeah, I haven't read a series in a very long time, so for me it was very exciting to dive back into a world that I knew I enjoyed and go back into the writing of Tom and G. Fletcher. So there's a lot going on in this book because one, it is part of a trilogy, so it has to bring back things that you read in the first book as well as introduce new things that are coming out through this story, but it's also a big novel. It's about 400 pages, so there's a lot of stuff to get through throughout the book, and I think that Tom and G. Fletcher really do a good job of pushing the story forward and not having it feel like it's a huge book. It feels like it's very easy to read because you get very sucked into the story, at least I did. In the first book, Eve of Man, Tom and G. Fletcher wrote the two different perspectives of Bram and Eve in that book, but in this book there is another person that is added in, so you kind of get three perspectives, which makes the story feel a bit fuller. You're seeing things in a different way than you would have if it was only from the two original perspectives. It also kind of makes the book feel a bit more like a movie where you're seeing the characters in one place and then you're seeing other characters in another place, so then you're kind of getting a fuller sense of the world that you're in as well as the story too, so it really brings you fully into the story by seeing everybody's opinions and perspectives throughout the entire book through three different lenses. I noticed while reading this book that there's a lot in The Evolution that relates to everyday life through the lens of the world of the book. Eve, one of the main characters of the book, has a very interesting world that she lives in, but you can see a lot of real life things reflected in that. One of those big things is celebrity and how celebrities are handled in the real world. The idea of celebrity and how far civilians and normal people are willing to go to be with or near or a part of that celebrity's life is really prevalent throughout this book because the character of Eve is a pretty big person in the entire world of the book, and the way that people approach her and talk to her and are around her in this novel is very different than it was in the first one. So you get to see what that part of the world is like that Eve didn't experience before. The Evolution also takes place in London, but not in the way that you think it would, so it kind of feels like a dystopian kind of world, and it reminds me a lot of dystopian novels that I read when I was a kid, that you see the actual location of a place that you know and may have been to before, but reflected very perfectly and specifically in the world of the book. The character of Eve does a lot of growing up very quickly in this book, and you see her in a very different way from the first book, which I really loved because it shows great character development. When I read the first book, Eve of Man, I really loved Eve as a character because you saw her as somebody who's trying to understand the world that she's in and breaking out of that, and now you see her completely broken out of that world that she knew and how she's coping with all of that and dealing with the changes that are coming with it, the new people that she's meeting, and all of the new things that she's experiencing, while also being involved with Bram, who's one of the other characters, and seeing what her life is now like when she's out of her former situation. I also thought that there were a lot of metaphors of women understanding who they are and how they don't have to be controlled by people around them, and I think that's a very important metaphor for women and girls who are reading this book because it shows that you don't need somebody to define you and you can figure out your own way in life. You just have to define who you are first and then go from there. There's also a lot of discussion about loyalty and freedom in this book and the differences between the two of them. In The Evolution, there's a kind of overarching societal norm that rules over everybody, and there's a lot of people who are involved with that are very loyal to that organization, and there's a lot of people who don't like it and are trying to be free from it. So there's a lot of discussion about where loyalties lie and how freedom can really be found, as well as defining the in-between part of that too. I also surprisingly found myself reading this book very, very fast, which I was surprised by because I felt like I was just very sucked into the world of the story. And when I was reading, I was just like, oh man, I got through 6 chapters. I didn't think I read it that fast, but I was just enjoying it so much that I just kept wanting to read the book, which I think is a testament to Tom and G's writing and how well they keep people interested in a story. Tom and G. Fletcher are also really good at writing great twists in stories, and there are a lot of good ones in The Evolution, and I think that is a really good part of the book because it keeps you on your toes toes and keeps you really interested and invested in the story. So that's all I have for you guys for my book of the month video. If you've read The Evolution or Eve of Man or both, let me know what you thought about them in the comments down below. And if there are any other books that you would like me to read and discuss on my channel, let me know about that in the comments. Also, if there's anything else you would like to see on my channel, let me know about that in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, DFTBA, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!